You guys know I love owning this car, and I love driving it, but I have not been able to drive it very much recently. You might notice that from the lack of seeing it in the recent uploads of the YouTube videos I've been making. Why is that? Well, I'm about to show you why. Watch and listen. Okay, watch what happens when I give it light throttle. Hear it kind of stumble? There usually would be a check engine light down there, but I cleared it recently. There it goes. P1188. And in just a minute, it'll pop up with P1189 as well. So it bogs down when I give it light throttle. Now listen to the exhaust. You hear how it's kind of lumpy? I do. So I'm gonna let this car warm up so I can take you guys on a drive and show you what it's like when we're actually rolling. But in the meantime, we got P1188, P1189. Those are fuel mixture codes. I have done a bunch of things so far to try to figure this out. One, I changed the spark plugs that only have like probably 2,000, 1,000 miles on them. They look pretty good, as you might be able to see. Not too bad. A few of them have a little light speckling, which would kind of indicate a lean mixture. But check out the O2s, which I changed as well. That's what the tips look like. Both of them. So not only have I changed the spark plugs and the O2 sensors, I also changed out my 803 math, which is a genuine one. Checked every single vacuum line I can find, no leaks. And I also may have gone a little bit overboard and took out all the secondary air pump stuff just in case any of this was faulty and was causing any problems with the car to run lean. Now I do have to say that I've owned this car for 2 years now, and in the whole 2 years I have not had any problems with this thing really. It has been dead reliable, and I beat the crap out of this car. I drive it like I stole it every time I get behind the wheel. And you know what? That's what I bought this car for, so that's the way I'm going to continue to drive it. The fact that this thing only has 78,000 miles on it currently doesn't mean that it's never going to have any problems because it's low mileage. This thing is a 1999, which means at this point it's 20 years old. Being 20 years old, hoses go bad, sensors go bad, mounts go bad. Things just happen with time, and that's kind of what I'm thinking is probably going on with this right now. And by the way, I also made sure that my O2 sensors were not switched backwards. The exhaust smells really strong, like it's running super rich and stinky. But it's weird because the codes I'm getting are rich command codes, which means the car is running super lean. And of course everybody knows that's not very good. It's kind of dangerous. Another reason why I really have not been filming with this car very much is because I have some crazy parts coming for this car that I think, well, that's going to be controversial. But I've kind of been waiting for those to come. But I wanted to make this video in the meantime. There's the check engine light. Right now we're still in open loop, but that whole lumpy idle thing gets better once the car's warmed up a little bit. Throttle's more responsive, it's not as bad. But no matter what, it always just sounds a little off. I also checked just to make sure that it's not something to do with the MAF wiring. I unplugged the MAF, started the car, and it ran just as bad without the MAF even connected. So I don't think it's the MAF. Check this out. Now we are in closed loop. As you can see that little dot right there. I'm gonna change to another page where we can show fuel trims. Before I recently just reset everything, my long-term fuel trims were both pegged at the bank 1 and bank 2 at 11.7. And those are positive numbers, which tells you the car's running lean, so it's giving a rich command. Did reset stuff, so the long terms are kind of back at 0, but look at the short terms. We're cruising here, 3,000 RPMs, and short term 1 and short term 2, 27 and 18. And just so that all these numbers that you're gonna see on the screen make a little more sense to you guys, check it out. Short term for bank 1, short term for bank 2, long trim for bank 1, long trim for bank 2, mass airflow sensor, grams per second, then the O2 voltage for bank 1, O2 voltage for bank 2. And this is chilling here just at idle. I have no idea why 1 and 2 are off so much. And I know that it's not a vacuum leak coming from the valve cover either, because I changed the dang thing and it looked perfect in the first place. So now, watch what happens when I'm just cruising around driving. I may be giving it like 15–20% throttle max this whole time. So the fuel trims aren't always crazy high. Sometimes it'll drop down to like just single digit positive fuel trims, like that, right there. But most of the time, it's up in the teens and the 20s when the long trim hasn't had time to adjust. And then here's what happens when I give it like 70% throttle. Not too much of a difference. I know the first thing that a lot of you guys are gonna say when a car's running lean, especially an E36 because of its age, that it's probably cracked hoses and things for a vacuum leak. But with trims, with fuel trims and vacuum leaks, it's usually a really high numbers at idle, and then as the idle goes up, those numbers get better and the fuel trims improve. But that's not what's happening here. Plus, if you guys have seen my vacuum tester video, I have a vacuum leak tester that's a smoke machine, and I've tested this thing like 3 times, and I haven't found a vacuum leak anywhere that I haven't fixed. And you can already see, holy, just how much smoke that thing produces. It does a pretty good job. All right, let's give this thing a go and see if we can find any leaks. I'm just gonna give it a few pumps here. Well, I think I found a leak. The one thing that is super weird is once I'm warmed up and I'm driving around, you cannot really tell that it's not running that great and that the trims are off and something's going on that's making the engine run lean, because it drives pretty good. The one thing that I can say though is that throttle response is definitely worse and it feels a little down on power. Here we are again, just cruising at just over 2,000 RPM somewhere, and there's the fuel trims. Jeez, it's a nice frickin' day out here. The colors on the mountains, you guys probably can't see it, but they're already starting to change for fall here in Utah. Anyways, with an engine that's running lean, or at least the O2s think is running lean, the exhaust smelling bad and whatnot, it's a bad combination for driving hard. So you guys can imagine why I'm not in this thing ripping around all the time like I used to be. I don't want to break it. And I want to figure out what the heck is going on with it. And maybe one of you guys knows a little bit more about this kind of thing than I do. So, with everything that I have said, if any of you have anything to tell me of what I can look into, please do it. I'm totally open to suggestions, and I will say that whoever in the comments, if whatever this is turns out to be something that you said, I'm gonna send you a free t-shirt or a free whatever from the store. My gosh, I miss driving this thing so much. Let's see what we got under here. Like I mentioned, well, I guess if you guys have been following the channel for a while, you'll know that this car has an RK Tunes tune that was recently done. I switched away from the Dynan stuff. I had to get a new HFM because of it, and I also recently had the M50 manifold installed. And with the 803 HFM, if any of you guys have done this, you know that you have to connect the ground wires in here or bridge them, but I have the Turner harness that takes care of that for you. Basically, I'm at a point here where I am done trying to figure out this stuff myself, and I'm about to take it to a shop tomorrow to see if they might be able to figure out what the heck is happening. All I know is I got some pretty freaking sick stuff coming for this car, and I can't wait to throw it on. And obviously, I can't wait to show you guys what exactly we have coming. Let me set this down here. I'll give you guys a start. Kind of at a loss here, and I by no means am any sort of expert with this kind of thing. I'm kind of just learning as I go with a lot of the things that I do on the channel. Oh my gosh. Can you hear how it's still kind of lumpy and not a very smooth idle? You would think that all this stuff would come up right after I did the M50 manifold swap or right after I did the tune, but it wasn't right after those things. I did the M50 manifold swap and the tune. The car drove fine for like, well, the idle was weird and lumpy like that, but I didn't get any codes until I had driven the car for like at least 500 miles. So at this point, I'm pretty much done throwing money at this thing and throwing parts at it and just playing the guessing game. And I'm pretty much exhausted all the knowledge that I have as far as fixing cars with this particular issue. And it totally sucks that I can't take this thing out for rips all the time, because if you guys have been following the channel for a while, you'll know I just did full polyurethane bushings on the rear end between the subframe and the differential. And all I want to do is take it in these canyons up here and drive some insane roads in this car. I apologize for the camera being so bumpy, but here in Utah, we do not have very many smooth roads. Jeez, it definitely feels good to be behind the wheel again, though. Jeez, the suspension in this car is so freaking solid. Maybe I should just sell this car and buy a new Supra. Just kidding. I would never sell this car. So, there's your E36 update. That's what's been going on. It freaking sucks. Hopefully we're gonna get this figured out. And when I do, of course I'll let you guys know. Maybe one of you guys are gonna be a Mr. Smarty Pants and pull the answer in the comments below. So if you do have any comments on what you think is going on, put it in the comments. If you guys enjoyed today's video, if you like seeing the E36 again, give it a big thumbs up. And if for some reason you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys in the next one.